This 2-week delay is kind of fun. I kind of like doing a 2-week break because then people eagerly anticipate the return.
They do.
You know, they don't get used
They're
to
jonesing for more.
Jonesing for more, if you will.
Yep.
If your name is Jones, welcome.
Here's some more.
Here's some more. Welcome. Today is June 18th. I can hardly believe it's the middle of June. I was just starting to go through my 4th of July must-haves. Like, what do I need? And so I was ordering all kinds of water balloons and all kinds of goodies. So I'm excited, but it's only June 18th, so we've got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. I have a guest today. This is big. I mean, I think if I go every other week, people don't cancel on me. So knock on wood. This is where it's at. So, well, welcome. If you're joining me live, good morning. If you're in the Grand Cities, I hope you are high, dry, and not getting hit by the rain. I have a very disappointed 5-year-old today. It was supposed to be T-ball pictures. So
Oh, boy.
thankfully, those will be scheduled. But thank you to the Grand Forks Park District for not sending them out into the mud. So that's definitely appreciated. So, but 2.5 inches, I think we got last night.
Doesn't that kind of suck the fun out of being a kid, though, not letting them go out and play in the mud, so you have to clean them all up?
You would go back to preschool, so I'm sure there's they could hose them off,
yeah.
right? So
And they'd love it.
They would.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would.
yep.
Yeah, they would thoroughly enjoy that. So everybody's just happy about that. But I think we've officially reached our capacity for rain and wind, and so I think we can have summer now. So I'm just sending that out into the universe. If the universe would like to just give us summer, that's awesome. We experience like all of the atmospheric treasures.
It looks like a tornado went through my yard. I'm not kidding you. It does.
Yeah.
I was out with my dogs this morning, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Right?
I've got a couple hours of work to do, I'm sure.
Yeah. This is probably a whole show in itself, so I don't even but I was just saying the other day, like, I appreciate that people recycle, but in my new neighborhood, then the recycling goes out, and then we've got these gale force winds, and then everybody's recycling ends up in my front yard, and so I see that everyone's eating lean cuisines and stuff, which is cool. I don't mind it, that you're eating the lean cuisines, but then they're all in my front yard. So like, maybe we should have a wind advisory. Like, today, let's not do the recycling today unless you have a brick in the bottom or something. So learning all kinds of things because of these weather things happening. So, well, it's hot in here, you guys. Guest, I haven't introduced you, but if you need a fan.
Hot.
There you go. It's hot in here.
You got the AC cranked.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Whew. So this is Put a Fork in It, Grand Forks' most copied Facebook video live show. And if you know what I'm talking about. So welcome to the show. Very excited to be here. You can, if you want to share with a friend, this is a really exciting episode, so I really want you all to share this one out. But you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Podbean, so any of your podcasting sites. Facebook, or you can just message me if you need to. So my name's Courtney Barstead Logan. I'm a realtor here in the Grand Cities with eXp Realty. You can find me on social media at Grand Cities Living, and Put a Fork in It on the YouTube. And if you find anything I say today offensive, please feel free to email my broker at nd.broker@exprealty.net. So all the fun stuff out of the way so we can get into the show. I am so excited. We've been planning this for a while. I have had people request this on my show, so I'm very excited. This is coming all together. This is a request show, and it's been on my list, but I had someone say, hey, and I was like, I know, they're on my list. So I am welcoming today Becca Cruger with Grand Forks' Way Cooler Than You Think. Good morning.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
So excited.
I didn't know I was a whole request and everything.
A whole request. People, I have my Post-it note when I think like, oh my gosh, they need to be on the show, and it's been sitting there, and finally we've willed it together, and things have happened, and you've internationally traveled lately. I'm watching you from afar. So
that is true.
Yeah, so I've lived vicariously through your travels.
Yeah, I just got back from a 10-day vacation in Turkey, of all places.
That was there just last year.
Were you really? Where did you go?
All over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all over.
Yeah, we went to Istanbul and Cappadocia. So
Fun. So fun.
This is a fun fact. 50% of the hot air balloon rides in the world happen in Cappadocia. So every morning there's just hundreds of hot air balloons
Fun.
floating from the sky.
Oh my
It was pretty
gosh.
incredible.
How do we do that in Grand Forks?
Yeah.
Well, we have the right person in the chair.
Yeah.
Do you know, we were talking about this, of
Yeah,
all the things that
course.
we could do in Grand Forks. Hot air balloons might not be the ticket. Just
Little breezy.
Remember when you were talking about that wind advisory?
Sure. I thought you were gonna say like all that new drone population's gonna pop them. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, forget about the lean
Yeah.
cuisines. It's going to be just hot air balloons
Hot air
all over your front
balloons,
lawn.
Right? Okay. Okay.
Did
fine.
you check out any markets in Istanbul?
I did.
It's crazy.
Yes.
I didn't like it. It's just way too
Too
busy.
much?
Well, way too
Too
busy.
many people.
Narrow streets with thousands of people trying to sell you crap you'll never use ever in your life.
Yes.
And they'll even tell you that.
Yeah.
How'd you like to buy something you'll never ever use in your life?
I don't know if I bought anything that I'll never use again, but I did buy a bunch of Turkish spices.
We did too.
Yeah.
Rubs.
Have you used the Turkish spices?
Oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, Have you
okay.
seen the Turkish rugs? That's like currency there. That's like gold and silver is to us.
Oh.
We bought 2. They hand delivered them to
Wow.
my house from
Wow.
Turkey.
Here?
Yeah.
They flew over with your rug?
Yeah, with 2 of them.
That is true.
And then they try to
package it
sell us a
right
bunch
up.
more, but yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did not buy any Turkish rugs. I did buy a very expensive Turkish necklace because
yeah.
they have these stones called zoltanite.
Yep.
And they change 5 different colors.
They're pretty cool.
so-
Yeah. It's
Oh.
pretty cool country. If you ever
Was
get a
it-
chance, go check it out.
I would love to.
Yeah.
When you said Zoltanite, I was thinking, isn't that the name of the like wizard on Big?
Yeah, it's Zoltan.
It is. Oh, maybe that's where the stone name comes from.
Maybe. Okay. See, my mind goes
Wow.
like, oh, I just sit at home and watch movies like Big. You know? Well, you all travel the world.
Yeah.
Well, we could do a whole show on Turkey. See, we always get sideways on this show, and I
know.
love
That's
it.
the fun part about it.
It's the best, yeah, because we just get to talk to our friends and neighbors and all the fun stuff going on. So clearly you can travel when you live in the Grand Cities because living here, the cost of living is amazing. And that's one of the things that we talk to people about a lot. You can live here affordably and then you get to travel.
And we have an
yeah.
international airport.
Yes, we do. So we're gonna reel it back, like way back. Starting with Grand Forks is way cooler than you think. I think I've been following y'all since you came out of, surprising everyone with this fantastic new idea and showcasing Grand Forks. And it's something that I was sharing with Becca. I utilize when I give tours to people when they come in and they say like, well, what about this and what about that? So nice to just send them to that site and they're like, oh, I had no idea. And it really has something for everybody. So can you share a little bit of like how this came about and the program itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been live for about 6.5 years. That's when we first started up. And it came about because Northrop Grumman, speaking of drones, was moving into town. So they said, we want to start this whole new site out at Grand Sky, just out by the air base in Amaretto. And we want to hire half of our people locally, but we want to bring in about half of our people, engineers, cloud, systems cloud people, all things that I'm way not qualified to do. We want to bring them from places like California, Texas, places where we already have operations. And they said at the time to community leaders at the Grand Forks Region Economic Development, the city, the chamber, they said, we can do a great job of selling Northrop Grumman, but you guys need to help us sell the community. So 7 years ago, if you Googled Grand Forks, this is a true story. All right. We had a lot of press coverage during an event in 1997 that you may or may not be familiar with. And still to that day, that is the online story of what would happen if people Googled Grand Forks. They'd get pictures of floods and fires and
Blizzards, little blizzards.
yeah. There was this one famous one of airmen standing next to a sign out by the airbase that read -37 degrees. Yeah. And so that's the story that we were really allowing to be told about our region and our community is that don't move here because you're going to have a lot of floods, you're going to have a lot of fires, you're going to have a lot of blizzards. And we all know that those things thanks to the dike system, we're never going to have a flood of that magnitude again, right?
Yep.
knock on all the wood. But we also have a lot of great things year round that make us an incredible place to live. You mentioned cost of living. So anyways, Northrop Grumman decided they were going to move in. They approached community leaders. They said, hey, we've got a issue with the Google, as it were.
Don't we all?
And so then our office and a couple of other organizations pulled together HR managers from our membership. And we said, hey, this is what Northrop is telling us. Are you having the same issue? And all the HR managers were like, yes. If I want to try to recruit somebody from outside of Grand Forks, what I'm having to do is cobble together this email of links to here and links to there. And it's not pretty. It's usually sending you to sites that are kind of harder to navigate, might not get you to the right information. So we would love a one-stop shop, a place that we can send people to say, what is it that is cool about living in Grand Forks?
Absolutely. I love it because I don't have to sell the community as much, and I love the opportunity to drive people around and share information, but it's hard sometimes because they don't know what they don't know, right? They, or maybe they're a little scared to ask, maybe about a certain faith population or cultural things or schools or whatever it might be. And I love that the website has everything. And I always tell people there's blogs from people of all different walks of life in our community. And I love that because it's not Courtney's story to share. It's not maybe your hiring manager's job to share what they do with their family, because that's completely different. Or if you're coming here, I always say, like, what do you like to do? What is it you like to do? And sometimes I get people, they're like, we like to play cricket. And I'm like, okay,
we have a cricket club.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's see, and so finding that page, they can find all the different things. So what have you seen come from that after you launched it? What are the different, the different avenues that it's reached?
So that first year, initially, we launched our website. We launched social media accounts. So we have Facebook, Instagram, and then we've got YouTube and LinkedIn. And we see about 30,000 people a year visit our site, which is really awesome. And we know that 85% of that traffic is coming from outside of Grand Forks. So that's folks who are getting their first impression instead of a flood or a blizzard of, hey, look at all this great stuff that there is to do in Greater Grand Forks.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple years after that, we went back to that same HR advisory group and we said, what's next for Cooler? What could you use? And so we launched two things. The first is a relocation guide that's free to download. So we've had over 700 people in the 3 years that's been launched download that relocation guide. And then every member of the Air Force Base who comes also gets a printed copy of that too. So, or they can request a download. So that's been really awesome because we have, 3,000 newcomers a year right there. And then the other thing that we launched was What's Cooler Today, as you mentioned, a community blog. So one of the things, you get into these echo chambers, right? So you're supposed to run this site for an entire community, and there's all different sorts of people who live here. And what I think is cool about the community is going to be totally different to what a Courtney thinks. Or, I'm not really big into fishing. Don't sign me up for cardio. None of that stuff. But there are a lot of people who want to know, what do you have for hunting and fishing? What do you have for running clubs or things of that nature? So when we were thinking about this community blog, we were really thinking, how do we let people who love to live here share their stories? So every 4 months, we hire a team of 5, I'm going to use writers. And these are just average, everyday people who live in Grand Forks County. And then they put together lists of what are the cool things to do. So it might be top 5 biking spots or top 4 places that you can go catch a really nice walleye, right? And it really helps them share from their perspective what makes life in Grand Forks County so cool.
Which I think is, for lack of a better term, the coolest thing, because you can always get the sales pitch. You can always get the, like, oh my gosh, we have this, or we have these things. And, my husband and I have moved to various communities in our life. And so that's the first thing you do. You Google and you do the cost of living thing. And for me, I always do the shopping and restaurants first. So
Yeah, I'm a big foodie too.
Right? So I'm always like, do they have a Target? So, but just some of those basic things where you're like, okay, what do I have here? And then what are my options for, entertainment within, or if I wanted to do a weekend trip or whatever that is. So I love hearing from the different voices, because you're not hearing from the good old boys of Grand Forks saying like, well, you can join the country club or you can do this, and it's nice to hear. It's something I know I struggle with. I just did a summer guide, and it's been wildly popular, people signing up, but I keep saying like, I know I missed some stuff in here because I'm only in my space of, my 5-year-old likes going to this park, so hopefully you enjoyed it. There's a concert going on down here. There's catfish day, different things, but there's so much more out there. And I think, like you said, you probably know of things going on, but then there's also like that club of 5 that, is trying to get started as well. So telling those groups too, if you have something going on or you're maybe not getting the traction, connect with the cooler folks, because they can help highlight, if you have a watercolor group or whatever it is that's accepting, members or whatnot, bringing them into the fold.
Yeah, kind of like you said, I never knew that we had a whole cricket club. And then last summer, one of our writers was writing about cricket, and their group came in and invited us out to a cricket game. So my boss, Mayor Bachensky, went out there and learned how to play cricket, and that was just so fun to watch and see.
That's funny. Did you tell him not to like check anybody? Like, don't take anybody out.
Yeah, I don't think that they, check anybody into walls in cricket, but it does look like pretty intense game.
Right. The mayor slashes somebody and he's out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and my boss isn't the mayor. My boss, Keith Lund, and the mayor
went out together.
Just to be clear, separate organizations.
Yeah, someone's calling in. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so nice to see. I know I get a lot of times people that are like, I want an adult like rec soccer, not just pick up where there's a little bit. And I'm like, well, there's one at the base and there's different things. So I think just if you're out there and you're part of a group where you're like, oh my gosh, like we would love more people coming to this, or we know that there's people coming to our community. I think two things is having your group, or even as an individual, coming to the cooler group to say, is this something that, you all could highlight? Is this something, because we know, there's always, if you're thinking it, someone else is in our community.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And then same, if you see something that they're putting out, having those questions and interacting, but sharing this page, I always think it's interesting when people say, oh, I haven't heard of that, and they're hiring folks to come into the community.
So we, I work for the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation, and that's who runs GF is Cooler. And so we have about 150 different member companies that are part of the EDC. And so that's really where we're engaging with those HR managers. I go in and talk to them on a yearly basis. We do something called HR VIP Day. So we're really listening to the needs of our business community and sort of adjusting Cooler every year from there.
Fun.
Yeah.
I also love that we can that we're not too cool, that we can't kind of poke fun at, right? At some of the things going on. So you have swag for sale if you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So if you go to gfiscooler.com/store, that's where you can find our swag. I didn't wear it today. I forgot that this was going to be an on-air thing, but we have a shirt that says home is where the hot dish is.
Love it.
We have one that says just a little chilly, because that's true. One thing we don't shy away from is Midwesterners are fun. We are cheeky, we're humorous, we're also very kind, and really a great culture to live in. We really truly care about our neighbors. So throughout the tone of what we put out as GFS Cooler, those are all things that we're bringing to the forefront. So
I love that. I think it always surprises people when they say, when I network with realtors across the country, they think like you're pushing folks out who are retiring. And I said, you know, in a month of, or in a 2-month span, I had 3 families moving here, Arizona, Missouri, and Florida, and they all were coming here to be with their families who were here. So they had retired and wanted to come back, and it's cold, but they stay. And then, you know, our military families who maybe they are at the end of their military service, but have decided they want to retire in our community because they love it here. And it surprises people so much when they, you know, when they hear that. I'm like, no, people are choosing to live here. We are choosing to be here because of the people. You don't stay for the weather, you stay for the people, right?
100%. Yeah. So my day job is basically a specialist in labor markets. So while I run our talent attraction campaign, we're also looking at how do we keep students here. So I run the Northern Valley Career Expo. We run Intern Grand Forks. It's an internship funding program. And then also the talent attraction piece. You really have to look at a whole pipeline when you talk about workforce. So engaging with places like the base or second chance citizens or, you know, new American populations who are coming to town. These are all ways that we can help grow our economy and help grow the labor force.
Yeah.
So.
And listen, friends, the labor force, that means that we have more restaurants that can stay open and more stores that can stay open and more things that can
That's
open.
right.
So everybody benefits. So
Yeah, Grand Forks is really interesting because if you look at our labor markets right now, I'm going to geek out for just one second.
Please.
If you look at our labor markets right now and you look at the number of open jobs, we have close to 1,900 open jobs in Grand Forks County. And then if you look at the number of people who are collecting unemployment, there is just 1/3 of a person for every open job. So the only way to solve that is by getting people to move here or having more babies, which is really a 20-year game plan.
Okay. Yeah. So here are your options.
Right.
Of the babies. Yeah.
So that's why things like Grand Forks is Cooler is so important because we really need people to move here to help our businesses stay open. And that's all my role. It's a real big problem to solve.
Yeah.
So.
I love it though. I get the honor of working with folks who move here for whatever reason. I think of a family from the Montana area where Montana got so expensive, right? During the pandemic, everyone bought, and they said like, they kind of priced us out of our community. We were familiar with Grand Forks, and they just chose Grand Forks and moved here. She started a business, and it was just the coolest thing because they chose here and they loved it, and you know, it's something that like, this is why we're here. Or families that say, this is where we want to be. Here's why we're moving here, and the money that we're making working here makes so much more sense than where we were at, and now we can buy a home. And it's like, those are the stories that like warm my heart, where people are like, we can afford to buy a house here, where our community, we would have never been able to do that.
And that is one of the big things that we sell on Grand Forks is Cooler or talk about is our cost of living here is still well below the national average, which is really great. You can find one of the 1,900 open jobs. It's truly a land of opportunity here. And then that quality of life piece, you can't talk about Grand Forks without talking about that. So I'm going to share this story of a gal who moved here. She was working for a big defense contractor. And she said, I used to live down in Houston, Texas. And, you know, I think one of the big challenges that we got to get away from as a community is saying, well, why would you move to Grand Forks, right? That's the first question. Stop it, everybody. Anyways, so she said, my son, when I was in Houston, Texas, got to be involved in one after-school activity because our rush hour was like 2.5 hours that we would have to sit in traffic just to get him where he needed to go for that one after-school activity. And she said, when we moved here, he's in 15 different activities. He said, same amount of time. Yep. But now he gets to do things instead of, you know, being on his tablet in a car.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I think it's just looking at it. I was just meeting with a faculty member who's moving here, and he's coming from a great community. And I said, like, oh, that's an awesome, place to be. But I said, something that I'm going to tell you that's really nice about being here is, and we noticed when we moved here, your cost of living changes where we could travel more. And he loves to travel. And I said, I can travel more, because before I was using my vacation back when I wasn't self-employed, but I was using my vacation to go home because I only had a little bit, and price-wise. And I said, like, we love being able to do that. I think it's, you can find some great flights out of here. You can do that. You can travel up to Winnipeg and the Twin Cities easily. We've got a question.
Oh, Lindsay, we chose Grand Forks because it's amazing.
Oh, hey,
Yes,
Lindsay.
Absolutely, yes. And Lindsay's another story of coming back to Grand Forks. So yeah, just the people and all the things going on. I know Lindsay's one of those people that's always out and about and doing the things and enjoying the parks and constantly hitting them up. So just maximizing the things. So when people tell me there's nothing to do here, I probably have a little bit of Becca in me when I'm like, well, let's see.
I would like to just show them my calendar and
Right.
say I wish there was nothing to do.
Right.
Grow up in Thief River Falls.
Yeah.
But honestly, so this summer we launched a brand new program. It's called the Intern Grand Forks Summer Cohort. And so we decided one of the things that students often say who are coming to UND is there's nothing to do in Grand Forks.
Mm-hmm.
Campus is so great. They've built out a little community, right, where there's so much to do on campus that oftentimes students aren't getting out into the community. So this program, we brought together 37 interns from different companies, and we're showing them all the different things that there are to do in the region, whether it's sports and recreation, going kayaking on the river, going to Choice Health and Fitness, or arts and culture. They're going to get to do an improv class at the Empire. They're going to get to create a rap with local rapper Jan Sonia at Ohata Dog Mahal.
Cool.
And then meet with different organizations like the Chamber or the co-working space downtown or young professionals to see here's all the avenues you have to get plugged in. So we just had our first cohort experience, and we put together this list of things that they could get points for doing, like visiting 10 out of the 32 parks that we have in Grand Forks. Did you know we have 32 parks?
Yes.
Isn't that insane?
I always do my favorite parks each year, and I'm always like, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
I visited one this weekend I didn't even know about. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been fun to see students' reaction to that and to say, oh, wow, there is a whole bunch to do in Grand Forks.
I love that. Yeah, and hitting all the generations of it. Here's one for you. I just had somebody move, and she said they like to go out dancing or do like dance, and I said, I don't know. I am not in that. What do we have? What avenue do we have for dancing?
Well, I mean, we have a few different things right here in this building. If you want to take adult dance classes, North Dakota Ballet Company.
Yep.
And then they also teach hip hop classes too, right? Eller Bonifacio has a really cool hip hop dance group. And then UND, they have a swing club too. So for a while there, I know they were doing like swing dancing in Town Square. I don't know if that's still happening.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's a good question. You don't want to see me on the dance floor. So let me check.
I can break down a good robot, Courtney.
Okay, perfect. I'll send her your number, and I'll tell her Becca's going to take you dancing. So, yeah. So
there you go.
Yes.
I mean, there's also different dance clubs, right?
Fine.
Southgate or what's the one downtown? I don't even know. I'm too
Level
old.
10?
Level 10.
Yes,
that's
I think
it.
they had gone there. So, yeah, I think it's just finding those spaces. But if you're thinking, and that's what I was kind of telling her, I'm like, if you're thinking it's missing or you're not seeing it, there's also going to be probably 20 some other people asking the same question, because I did share, I was like, we get people coming here for the base and different jobs and UND. And so we have such age levels of people coming in. So do we have any more comments? Oh my goodness.
Look at that. We're starting a whole conversation.
Hey. Okay, there's another dance and gymnastics school. Yes, where Kmart was. Love the summer internship. Oh, I love this. Well,
hey, somebody's heard about. Oh, that's Matthew Turnus at the Empire. He's if you haven't stopped out to Matthew Turnus's comedy shows, he's an amazing comedian.
Okay,
he hosts them at the Archive, and now he's doing them at the Empire too. So
I love that. And there was like a blues guitarist at the Empire this last week. One of my friends was there, and she sent a picture. I said, "Where are you?" And she said, "Who is it?" She said, "There's only like 30 people here." And I was like, "Well, we clearly need to share more information about this." so it was amazing for those of us that came, but
and I'll say for events and things like that, the best thing to do if you want to get more event exposure. We are more focused on residents finding different clubs or things to do.
Yep.
But events, you should definitely talk to Visit Greater Grand Forks.
Yes.
They have an amazing events calendar. In fact, they've allowed us to steal from them, but it's just borrowing.
Yes.
And so on our homepage, if you go to gfscooler.com, you'll find information about the community, and then we have a plugin for Visit Greater Grand Forks' events calendar.
Perfect.
So a whole bunch of things to do, and they have an amazing newsletter that every Thursday, I think, they'll send out a list of everything happening in town, and it's incredible.
It's nice. Yeah, I love getting that because it's like, here's what's going on, and I always know my staples of, the farmer's market and the, things like that. But then seeing that, I'm like, ooh, we could hit that up on a Thursday night or something different. So, well, we could be here all day because I think there's so much, and there's so much we can still do and so much to learn about. But I just want to encourage everybody to hit up gfscooler.com. And check it out. If you have something that you think that you do that is cooler, I want to encourage you to touch base with the Cooler folks because we want to hear you maybe in a future blog post, right? Or being one of those 5 people.
We switch out the writers. We just are onboarded a new round of writers last night. But in 4 months' time, we'll be looking for new ones.
Good. So yeah, if you're doing something, or if you say, hey, I would love to share this because we'd love to get more people involved. What a great way. And I think they just create such a great coming together of all of those resources. So instead of everyone's trying to like, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'll do a Facebook page or whatever, which is great. And I love those, but the more the merrier we can shove into one place as well. It's nice to have that one-stop shop. So you all are doing an amazing job, and thank you for doing that because it makes our lives cooler and easier when we're sharing why we love Grand Forks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, and Becca, you are with the Economic Development Corporation. Am I saying that correctly? So if anyone wants to reach her directly, you can find her on there, or feel free to reach out. But please share this episode if you can with people maybe moving or people that are just ever saying there's nothing to do in Grand Forks. So we'd love to find them something to do.
Thank you for having me on. You're pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. And make sure with everything you do today that you put a fork in it.